Hi, my name is Kamana and welcome to Holistic Nomads TV, where ancient wisdom and modern science can help you to have more clarity and energy in your life. In today's class, we're looking at question and answer from the public. So people send in their questions and I answer their questions on health and healing. Today's question is from Niranjan in India. He says, "Hi, I'm a pitta dominant person and I love hitting the gym to build muscle and practice martial arts too. Very common for pitta dominant people to like these types of exercise. But I noticed that to do this kind of exercise, my pitta is increasing and also leads to hair loss due to excessive heat." And he's right, pitta creates a natural heat in its body type. This exercise builds a lot of heat and that heat rises up in the body and can increase hair loss. I'd also be interested to know vegetarian foods for muscle building for pitta body types, and I'd really appreciate your feedback. Thank you, Niranjan. Right, we can definitely help with that. In the Thai Vedic school that I've co-created, we look a lot at holistic exercise and how we can balance exercise through a 5-element model. So we look at how all of life takes a journey from space, from something formless, from just an idea in creation, towards form, towards the earth element. And then from there, it goes from form and it takes the journey back towards space, back towards spirit again. So life is constantly doing this, spirit to form to spirit. And therefore, if we model our exercise on that same model, we can get more balance, more holism, and really understand the complete categories of exercise. So I'm just going to quickly look at those for you now, Niranjan, is these 5 elements and how they might relate to certain types of exercise practices that you also want to include within your general model. Because when it comes to balancing, we're not necessarily talking about don't do the things that are pitta dominant. You have that gift. You're a fiery, active person, and you'll have a gift with those sorts of skills. So it's not about not doing them. It's about sandwiching them with opposing qualities so that we can balance our life and give our gift for a longer period of time without it destroying our body or our hair. So I'll quickly run through these element models and then I'll teach a little bit about some specific practices that could be good for you. So the first one, the ether, the space element, this is like introspective practices, spiritual practices, maybe mantra or a little meditation practice. The next element is the wind element, and because we're still in this sort of ether wind space here, I like to explore that. It's more introspective, explorative movements. So exploring where the body can move to, where it can open up in all directions, and I usually combine this with the breath, with the wind element. As we move into this wind-fire spectrum, I move into a little bit of elastic sort of stretches. Again, not going to the extreme of the body, but starting to open it up. In full fire, I'm in martial arts movements. So this is where you can really pump faster movements that are going on, kicks, punches, speed, maybe a little sprint or something in the fire element. In the water element, we're looking at slow circular movements of all of the joints. This really helps with the circulation. I'm going to come back to this one for you, Niranjan, is these slow circular movements of the joints. At the earth element, we look at strength and conditioning. So when you're in the gym, you're probably doing more of the earth element, using weights, earth, heavy things. The Ayurvedic principle, like increases like. We want to build muscle mass, our earth element. We use earth element, heavy things. I personally use my own body weight most of the time for my strength and conditioning. Then we've gone through the active phase, the solar phase of the elements from space to earth here. And in Thai Vedic, we use a yin, a passive phase of the elements, a lunar phase that goes from earth towards ether again. So now we start more passive water element stretching. This could be joint bowl rolling, like roll and release with a little ball on fascial areas of the body. It could be yin yoga, where we allow and just drop into a pose for a very long period of time. And then in the fire phase, we might use PNF stretching. This is a stretch where you will actively push against for a period of time and then you release. So we're activating the muscle that we need to stretch for a period of time, called PNF stretching. And then in the passive wind, I'm usually rolling around on the floor. Again, it's like explorative movements like we did in the beginning, but in the beginning they'd be more standing, opening up, and in the end it's more cooling, softening, melting movements on the floor. And again, at the passive wind, I will be creating an internal intention for what I want to launch into the day. And last, we finish with space. This is usually Shavasana position, another type of meditation position, lying on our back with our palms facing upwards, and just sit in stillness for a period of time. So I want you to look at this, Niranjan, and everyone out there, what elements are you really lacking within your exercise practice? Because to be holistic, you want to be able to do everything in your body. You want to live a long life and have all of these movements and possibilities. So have a look and go, which ones am I really dominating in and which ones might I need to bring in? So a few little tips for you, Niranjan. You could be using a mantra at the beginning of your practice. Mantra practice is well known within India. A seed mantra that could work great for you, that helps to balance pitta. It's cooling, it's calming. It also works with mass building as well because of its moistening and nourishing nature, is Shreem. And you could just repeat this 9 times, even if you're at the gym or somewhere. Do it silently before you're practicing. Just Shreem, 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 and just really create that introspective space and bond with the attributes we're talking about here. Cooling, calming, moistening, nourishing. That's what that mantra builds more of. So you have a word and you have a visualization of building those qualities. Could be that to begin the practice. Then I'd go into explorative movements and start to really open up the body. If you understand this, do some explorative movements that relate to the gallbladder meridian. If we're looking at fascia, we're looking at the lateral line. It runs right on the outsides of the body and runs down the sides of the body here. And it comes to the sides of the head. And this meridian channel is most responsible for pulling heat down from the head towards the feet. It's really influential to balance pitta. For those that don't know anything about meridians, check out our class that explains meridians and what they are in the body. There's some great information there. The gallbladder meridian and explorative movements that work through that whole gallbladder meridian down the side of the body, up into the side of the neck through here, maybe up through the arms. We'll be releasing a whole holistic exercise series, so stay tuned in the future. You may see me doing some of those movements. Next thing I'd look at is joint rolling. So joint rolling means to roll each one of the joints. And we're not looking to go to the full extreme where it's constantly clicking and cracking, but we're not looking to go to no extreme. We're finding somewhere in the middle. And I often use these joint rolling practices to break up where we've gone into peak intensities. If you remember that element model, the fire element, after it came water. So sometimes I'll jump back and forth. It's not like a constant sequence that has to go in one direction. I might do something intense, fire, I'm building up the heat, but I don't stay there. I don't let myself sweat for 30 minutes. I just build up the heat. And then I do some smooth rolling practices for a little bit, bring the temperature back down, allow the things to move through the body. And you'll find you can do those joint rolling practices right across the whole body. Last one is to finish in some Shavasana. So have at least 5 to 10 minutes where you're laying down on your back at the end, where you're allowing the heat that you've built to not rise up to the head, because now you're horizontal. You're allowing that heat to distribute much better across the whole body. So really lay down and have at least 5 to 10 minutes of just awareness of circulating that energy throughout the body. And as I said, think of the sandwich principle here. So every time you hit a peak within your exercise practice, think, okay, what is an opposing element to pitta? What are opposing qualities to pitta? How can I bring in more exercise that's going to be more of those qualities on either side of when I'm doing those peak pitta type exercises? So that covers your exercise question, and now we're looking at the muscle building for vegetarians. So there's lots of different ways to build muscle, yet when it comes to food, the primary thing we're looking at is protein. And because most exercise practices are done in a way where we're usually on an empty stomach, ideally, we don't want a full stomach at the time, and then we're fatiguing the muscle to the point where, oh, now I really need new resources now. We generally need to be able to get the food back into our body quite quickly, which means a protein powder can be really useful here. It means we don't have to finish an exercise practice and go and cook and do a lot of other things. So some good protein powder options, split pea protein could be great, brown rice protein, and as a vegetarian you could also use whey protein as well. It comes from a dairy source, so if you don't digest dairy or you prefer to use not to use any animal products, I prefer to use split pea, brown rice, or hemp seed protein as well. The brand that I really like for that is called Prana On. We'll link up a little link to where you may be able to purchase it through Amazon below. Prana On. They use a lot of organic ingredients inside there, and they use some digestive enzymes as well, because some people don't digest these legume type proteins in such high amounts when you're trying to build up protein mass. If you are getting gas from any of these protein sources, reduce the dose. Protein powders often give you a much higher dose than what you can comfortably digest. So gas is your sign there. If you're getting gas after taking that protein powder, and it could be 12 to 24 hours later, doesn't mean straight after, then reduce the dose to what you can comfortably absorb and check that it's a good quality fermented source and that maybe it has some digestive enzymes that are already mixed into the protein powder. And then for foods, root vegetables are great building sources. So sweet potatoes particularly, very good at building the body. Little bits of protein, a good slow release carbohydrate that's in there. Also things like cassava root, yams. Have a look at all the different root vegetables that may help to build up and nourish the body. And to some degree, if you digest it well, wheat, especially the older types of wheat, spelt wheat, they help to build mass and hold mass inside the system. So that's what we've got for you today, Niranjan. I hope you enjoyed the video and everyone else can learn from this as well. There's lots of ways to sandwich the doshas with opposing principles in every activity, not just exercise. Think about that. Whenever you approach your extreme of a certain dosha, an extreme of a certain quality, how could you sandwich that either side with balancing principles? It's been great to share this with you. I really hope you too share it with the world. I think education and awareness is the key to change, and we all need to help in that process to lighten up the world with knowledge. All the best. If you have a question for me, I'd be more than happy to help and answer those questions for you. You can submit your questions on holisticnomads.com/ask. And be sure to subscribe here on YouTube so you're notified when your question is answered. Also, if you'd like to go much deeper into health and healing and learn how to help others heal or have more control in your own self-care, then check out the programs I've co-created on ThaiVedic.com. We brought together some of the world's best health and healing experts, teaching people what I consider to be the 6 most important branches of holistic healing. I hope to see you in the future at one of those face-to-face events or keep sharing with you here on YouTube. All the best. Today's class, we're looking at question and answer. Question and answer from the